Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We've got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be discussing exactly how Bitcoin's recovery has potentially begun. Over the last few nights, we have seen Bitcoin rally several $1,000s, currently trading up towards 62. Has Bitcoin's bottom finally come in? Has the crash finally ended? This has been the largest crash thus far this bull market, almost doubling the size of the one prior that we did in January. In that case, we dropped about $9,000. In this case, we've dropped about $17,000. Percentage-wise, this is also the largest corrective movement that we've seen in over 2 years on Bitcoin. So have we concluded this movement? We originally predicted that Bitcoin would drop down to about $55,500. We ended up dropping down to $56,300. So basically right on target. What happens next? That is what we will be discussing today, moving into hashtag FinSoft Friday. For anybody who doesn't know what FinSoft Friday is, financial sovereignty is the state of being in total supreme authority over your financial life and not the other way around. It means not being in debt or being on the path to being out of debt. It means having a budget and having a written plan for what you do with your money. It means that you are investing and saving. It means that you're being generous. And it also means that you are being overall wise with your finances, that you'd be able to grow them for the betterment of you and everyone around you. So, happy FinSoft Friday. I hope you are all having a wonderful morning. Moving into this weekend, I want to touch on something. Oftentimes, it is easy for us to feel like we've got no shot. What do I mean by this? It is very, very common in life for us to think, man, is the work that I'm doing even going to pay off? I'm putting this work in towards starting this business or working on this relationship or parenting my children or fixing up my house or helping this friend. And oftentimes you know logically that what you're doing is going to work. You know logically in your mind that what you're doing is the right thing. And if you give it enough time, it's going to pan out the way that you think it will. At least most likely it will. But there's this seed of doubt that comes in, and it freaks us out, and it scares us, and it tells us, no matter how hard you work, that vision that you have is not going to come true. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to make it to the promised land. And I want you to know that if you are following the financial sovereignty way, if you are following the laws of money, you don't need to feel that way about finances. If you are trying to build wealth for yourself and your family, and you do it the financially sovereign way, it will work proportional to how much tragedy you go through and your starting position, your spawn point, if you will. Those things are real and those do matter. That being said, you will succeed if you follow the principles that we teach. And I just want to encourage you in that, because that seed of doubt creeping in is one of the things that comes and steals our joy, because it steals from us the motivation that we need to reach that finish line. So as we finish out this week, just remember that there is a finish line. This is not a contest that cannot be won. This is not a race that has no end. There is an end to this race. And towards the end of this race, it starts to get a lot better. One House Production in chat said, yeehaw. There you go. Sean O'Brien's in chat. RJ's in chat. Joe Bollier's in chat. Cynthia Dizon is in chat. Sweet Benabear in chat said, happy Friday, Jeb and friends. Fenna Lee said, hello, chat from Malaysia. Cosmin B said, to the moon, good morning. Chase said, whoop whoop. Schmedley B said, good morning, Jeb. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Blano said, hola, Jeb. Alex Nybo is in chat. It's 420 Wood said, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone has a blessed and lifted day. Absolutely, amen. Verhoofty Floofen's in chat. Sweet Ben a Bear again. Jeremy Gable. Joel Elbs is in chat. Happy weekend with God's blessing to you and your family. Live from London. Shout out to you, Joel. Joy Van Englenberg in chat. Bjorn in chat. David Mastro Giacomo is in chat. Said good morning and greetings from South Jersey. Brennex Motorsports in chat. Sweet Ben a Bear said, come on, guys. Smash that like button on your way into the room. Hola from Miami to Mex. Shout out to everyone who is in chat. I do appreciate y'all tuning in. I've got some exciting news, an exciting announcement. You guys have known that I've been wanting to bring callers on the stream for a while now. It's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to because I really think it's going to help the production of the stream even more because it's going to allow you guys to have a voice in what we are talking about here on the stream. You guys will get to call in. I'll be able to talk to you guys, and it's going to make for some absolutely hilarious YouTube because what's going to happen is we're going to get some great questions. We're going to get some absolutely hilarious stories, I'm sure. And you know what? We're probably also going to get a few trolls. And it's always very, very funny to troll a troll back. So we'll see what happens. But the announcement that I am making right now is that I have figured out, because, you know, I'm doing all the production myself, so I have figured out how to do it from a hardware standpoint, and I also know exactly how to do it from a software standpoint. So we're in the process of setting up a phone system for the company that you guys are going to be able to call in, and I tested it yesterday. It's working great. So I am hoping that that will be live as soon as next week. So look forward to that. Look forward to being able to call in. We're going to be calling in discussing specifically not talking about cryptos. We're not going to talk about, you know, oh, what do you think of this altcoin? That we're not doing that. We're calling in to talk about how do we build wealth in cryptocurrency. That is going to be the topic forevermore. So very much looking forward to that. Let's go ahead and move on over to CoinMarketCap. Right now, Bitcoin is in the movement up, which is is moving in the upwardly direction. Very happy about that. It's currently trading at $61,600, up 5% in the last 24 hours. Ethereum is currently up to $3,000. Up to $3,000, up 3% in the last 24 hours. Binance is up 3%. Solana's up 5%. Toncoin up 15%. Very exciting for the Telegram community there. Cardano up 2%. Sheeb up 7%. Avalanche up 4%. And so here's the deal. These cryptocurrencies are starting to rally, and many people are probably wondering why. Well, one of the reasons is because, one, we're getting farther away from the all-time high. I'm sorry, we're getting farther away from the halving, which has now happened. The considerations of how that's going to impact price are kind of in the past. If you'll remember, we've shown a lot of charts recently about how it is very common that the Bitcoin halving leads to a drop or a corrective movement at first, and the market oftentimes will either drop or move sideways for the first 6 months after the halving. This was the fourth halving in history. And so there is a strong likelihood that we may see that exact same thing occur this time, that we may see some boring action. That being said, we are getting farther away from it. It was back in April. So it's been almost a month. So we're not there yet, but the FUD around, oh my goodness, what's going to happen with the halving, that has largely subsided, which is a great thing. That is one of the reasons that Bitcoin is rallying. The second reason that Bitcoin is rallying is because Bitcoin has just gone through the largest corrective movement that we have seen so far this bull market by a long shot. We go to a somewhat cleaner chart here, as if I have any clean charts. Oh, I actually do. Look at this. I must have deleted this one recently. If we go to a clean chart here, and we go to the regular scale, you can see this is by far and away the largest drop that Bitcoin has witnessed thus far. This was a $17,000 movement from $74,000 down to $56,000. Our largest correction so far this bull market had been a $10,000 drop, about $9,000 depending on how you measure it, which was a 21% drop or so back in January. Even on a percentage scale, even though we are vastly higher than we were, this is still the largest percentage drop that Bitcoin has seen thus far in the bull market, and that is a remarkably good thing. We can also see that Bitcoin is moving down here into this falling wedge, as can be seen right here. And that does indicate that at some point we will likely see a break to the upside, which is part of the reason why I'm saying that we have seen the market rallying ever so slightly over the last few days, because we have seen corrective movements drop us all the way down to this downtrending level of support right here, and also our longer-term uptrending level of support on the logarithmic chart, which we've been talking about ad nauseum for the last several months. That uptrending level of support sits right here, and it gives us support architecture right there. As you can see, we were always expected to drop to somewhere between $55,500 to $56,000, which is exactly what we did. We fell back down to this uptrending level of support, which indicates that we have a excellent bottoming opportunity. The question now becomes whether or not we will actually bottom out here. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward here. Now, jumping back on over to CoinMarketCap, I want to talk about this article over from Watcher.guru. Just in, Jack Dorsey's block says it will buy Bitcoin every month with 10% of its gross product from Bitcoin products. Very, very, very exciting news that Block is also going to be acquiring Bitcoin. That just means that for all of you guys that are holding Bitcoin, myself included, whenever you are holding your when you are holding your Bitcoin, the Bitcoin that you're holding is likely to increase in value because of the fact that more supply is being taken out of the market, which is very exciting stuff. All right, let's go ahead and read some chat. Joe Bollier said, "Long-time listener, first-time caller." Bjorn said, "Nice." Schmedley B said, "Sweet." Yeah, hopefully you guys are looking forward to having callers on the stream. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting. I got my like Dave Ramsey like mute button over here. I can just boom, you're muted. Like I got that button right there where I can just mute you. So if you're saying any kind of nonsense on stream, boop, muted. Hang up the phone later. So keep it PG, guys. But it's going to be good. Appreciate this analysis, my guy. Thank you, J. Cole. All right, guys. I also want to let you know before we move on here that today's stream is brought to you in part by NordVPN. Get started protecting yourself online by shrouding your identity with NordVPN by going to nordvpn.com/Jeb. Follow the link in the description box down below to have more details on that. Great way to protect yourself while you browse online. All right. Is Uphold Vault considered a DEX? Uphold is a centralized exchange. Vault is cold storage, so it's not an exchange in the first place because it's a wallet, but it is Uphold is a centralized exchange, but it works kind of similarly in the self-custody aspect of a DEX because you're able to self-custody your Bitcoin in Vault, your Bitcoin and your XRP in Vault. So Schmedley B said the kill switch. Yes, the kill switch is awesome. I tested it with my wife. My wife called in yesterday, and then one of our employees called in yesterday. So we were testing it. I called one of our team members, and I was like, and is in town from and I just pretended like we were live. I think I freaked him out a little bit. He thought he was on camera. He's watching right now. Shout out to you, Malachi. All right. Dollar rising after a big drop, probably fizzle this rally out a little bit. Yeah, let's jump back on into the charts and the analysis, guys. Let's dive right back on into it. The Dixie is getting eviscerated. Absolutely annihilated. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention on this Bitcoin rally is that one of the reasons that's probably happening is because the Dixie, while it has been in a rally over the last few weeks, is currently not. It is currently going through a pretty cataclysmic crash. And the reason that that's significant is because, for anyone who doesn't already know, the Dixie and Bitcoin are inversely correlative. They are inversely correlated, which means when the Dixie is going up, Bitcoin is going down. When the Dixie is going down, Bitcoin is going up, at least generally speaking. We can kind of draw a few points here where markets bottom and top. You can see before this line, the Dixie, which is the candlestick chart, is moving to the upside. Bitcoin immediately is starting to move down. Before this line, Bitcoin is moving up, and the Dixie is moving down, as you can see. Now, they do run together sometimes, every once in a while, but generally speaking, Bitcoin is not doing a whole lot of rallying when the Dixie is doing very well. During this time over here, from July all the way through about October, the Dixie was taking off. Bitcoin was in a corrective movement. It's very common that they move against each other. The dollar currency index, which represents the strength of the United States dollar against a basket of other reserve currencies. I really need to get a sound, like a switch on my soundboard over here, like that one. I need to just kind of put a, what does this one do? Huh. I got these sound effects I never use. I need to use one of these. Sorry. I need to put one of those on there that says what the Dixie is, because I'm always repeating myself. Anyway, when Dixie's going down, Bitcoin is normally going up. And so the Dixie's been correcting over the last few days to kind of bring us back here. The Dixie has been correcting over the last few days, and it stands to reason that Bitcoin has been rallying. Similarly, we've seen a slight uptick on the stock market, which is funny because the stock market is usually moving in correlation with Bitcoin. If the stock market is going up, generally Bitcoin is going up. If the stock market is going down, generally the Bitcoin market is going down. As you can see, Bitcoin was rallying here at the same time that S&P 500 was rallying as well. And then we went on to see that Bitcoin was going through a corrective movement right around the time that we were putting this rounding top in on the stock market all-time high. And that's exactly what we're seeing happen right now, is that Bitcoin's going through the correction almost to the letter following the S&P 500. And so that is very, very significant news here. So the other thing to mention here, though, is that the stock market opened a lot higher this morning than it has as of recent. S&P 500 closed at $505.01 here yesterday. But today, in pre-market hours, we rallied during pre-market hours, and we opened at 511. So a pretty big jump, pretty big gap here. You know, about 1%. It's like, that's a lot of money when you are dealing with a $30 trillion market. That's $300 billion of difference in total market-wide market capitalization in one day, in between market close and market open the next weekday. So big deal here. We're going to see what plays out on stock market today. Obviously, it's only been open for about an hour. It opens at 9:30. And so we'll see what happens, but Bitcoin's rally over the last couple of over the last few hours makes sense because Dixie is crashing and stock market is rallying. We can see here that pre-market hours was coming in. We were seeing that the S&P 500 was going to open pretty high, and so Bitcoin rallied quite substantially. Now, if we come back to this chart right here, then what we'll see is that Bitcoin has been rallying dramatically over the last few hours up towards a specific point. One of that level is this downtrending level of resistance right here. If you'll remember, we talked about this on Bitstamp. There's this downtrending level of resistance right here, and I'll show it to you right there. We're getting closer to it. All right, we're getting a lot closer to it. We broke through $60,000, which was baseline architecture that the market had been using. So we broke through $60,000. We're kind of in breakout through $60,000 right now, moving up towards this downtrending level of resistance. So now the question for the day becomes, what's Bitcoin going to do? Is it going to fall back down to 60K right here? Or is Bitcoin going to rally up to this level of resistance, this downtrending level of resistance right here? What comes next? That is the question. I'm of the opinion that I think Bitcoin's going to have a good go at it to try and put this corrective movement into its history books, because Bitcoin has gone through a major rally, through a major corrective movement in the last month, and so we're going to see most likely an attempt at a rally. Whether that pans out or not is yet to be determined, and frankly, I'm not really sure if it will, because Bitcoin just briefly put a chink in the armor down here of this head part of an inverse head and shoulders pattern. We put a chink in the armor down here below $60,000. $60,000 was our support architecture. So while I am giving it to the bulls that I think they're going to have a good go at it, I'm not convinced that they are in charge yet. I need to see Bitcoin really putting some work in before I'm convinced at all that the bulls are in good shape. Because right now, it looks like we could be forming a big inverse head and shoulders pattern, which sounds great, but it would potentially mean another drop down to $60,000, which could be dangerous if we were to fall back over here. So if Bitcoin has a go at it, rallies up to this downtrend, then breaks out, and then rallies up to 67,000, I hope that it just keeps on going right away, but it is also possible that we build an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, which ultimately, in the long run, if we're able to actually play it out the way that we should and not just crash through the floor, that would be wonderful, because that would lead us towards our wonderful and desired $80,000. So, love to hear your opinions on that in the comment section down below. There is a lot going on in the markets right now, and we definitely need to be watching them closely. Jason Berry said Dixie basically lost its drop from the jobs numbers in a downtrend, though, over the last few days. Hopefully it continues. Right. Crypto Boomer said, hello, Jeff, from your backyard, Jacksonville, Florida. Shout out to Jacksonville. Been to Jacksonville many times. My wife used to live in Green Cove Springs, actually. Fun. Schmedley B is in chat, said resistance at 65. 64 is no problem, Ron Hart said. I agree. I think Bitcoin is going to be absolutely fine, but it is going to take time. Jason Berry said, glad you're mentioning this, Jeb Dixie. Yep. Bjorn BCY said, just some birds, exactly. Verhoofdy Flufen said, onward and upwards, Jeb. That's right. We've got a lot coming. Guys, if you're enjoying today's stream, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We are going to standardize. I want to mention this. We are standardizing, and you guys have probably noticed this push. We are standardizing our teaching. I've been teaching some of the same things over and over and over for years. One of them is the financial sovereignty way, which we are standardizing and putting down into writing. One of them is the way that we do our investment plans. One of them is the way that we do our budgeting. You know, there's a lot of different financial education that we are standardizing. And I really am looking forward to that because it's going to be much easier for me to teach it to you when I'm able to put it together into an actual curriculum. So I'm going to ask you in chat, are you guys excited for our teaching to be standardized? Are you guys excited for our teachings on finance, on FinSov, our teachings to be standardized and written down for your study? Love to hear your opinions on that in the comment section, guys. Very, very excited for it myself. And even if you're not excited for it, I think you will be after you see it. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot easier to teach a lot of that to you guys. Schmedley B said, I've learned quite a bit by following this channel. I'm so glad to hear that, Schmedley B. Very excited for that. Stymie Snurdly said, Kentucky Derby weekend, selling all my alts and going all in on a long shot bet. Get rich quick. More like get broke quick. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stymie, I love you. Don't do that. I think you're joking. I'm pretty sure you're pulling my leg. But I'm pretty sure you're pulling my leg. But please don't do that. That would be a great... See, like, this is why I want callers. I want somebody to call in the show and say they're going to do that so I can just rip that to shreds. Like, please don't do that. That's such a bad idea. That's such a terrible idea. You know, if... Just please. Oh, my goodness. Who said no? What will the format be? Well, we're going to be Stymie's trolling. I think they are, which is fun. That's always fun. What is your favorite financial/crypto book? The Bible. That's the book for me, as my 3-year-old likes to sing. My favorite finance book, I'm not even joking. I'm not trying to be smart with you. I'm not trying to be some kooky, crazy Christian. I'm dead serious. My favorite book on finance is the Bible because it's where I defined financial sovereignty. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28 says, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. That verse is the foundation upon every single thing that we teach here at McAfee Media, which owns Crypto Jeb and the Financial Sovereignty Academy and the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. Every single thing we teach is based on that one verse and the context around it, which is that we are to subdue creation. We are to be sovereign over it. We are to be masters of it. We are to be in control of it. And if we are not, we are being fools. If you cannot control something, you need to sell that something. If you bought a house in suburbia and you can't control the lawn, then you need to rip the lawn out and put gravel in the front yard. That's what I'm talking about. Or you need to sell the house and move into an apartment. If you bought a truck and you can't buy it without payments, you need to sell the truck. If you have finances, which I hope you do, hopefully you have some kind of income and expenses, some kind of financial picture. If you are not controlling that, you need to rectify that immediately. The Bible says, referring to wisdom in Proverbs 3, I think it's 22, when thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. You know the benefit of being wise, especially with money, but with other things as well? When you lie down, you're not going to be afraid. As far as when you lay down to go to sleep, you're not going to sit there with this, honey, I can't sleep. Honey, I can't sleep. We've all been there, right? You've been there. Tell me you've not been there, I will call you a liar. You've all been there. We've all been there. Stressing out about something. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. When thou lie down, thy sleep shall be sweet. You'll have good sleep, and you won't be afraid. That is wisdom. And when you follow the wisdom of financial sovereignty, which is biblical. And so when I tell you the 6 laws of money, when I tell you Choose FinSoft. Live on less than you make. Have a written plan for your money that's called a budget or an investment plan, depending on what area. Get out of debt, save and invest for the future, and be radically generous. When I tell you those things, I am not stating an opinion. I am stating a fact from the Holy Spirit, breathed and inerrant word of God Almighty himself. The guy invented money. I think he knows what he's talking about. Every single one of those 6 things is a biblical principle that if you apply to your life, whether you're a Christian or not, you will be more successful. I hope you meet Jesus in that time. But even if you don't, if you apply those laws of money, you will be successful with money to the proportion that you follow them and proportional to how much horrible stuff happens in your life. Listen, if you get hit by a bus, I guess you're not going to be a millionaire. I'm sorry, right? If your life ends premature, like there's stuff happens. Proportional to how much tragedy you face and your starting position, you will succeed with money when you do those things. That's probably not what you were asking, Princess Libra. You're probably asking for some other financial and crypto books. But the honest answer is the Bible, first and foremost. The second answer, I really like. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of them. The Bitcoin Standard by Safadi Amos is a great book for if you are in the cryptocurrency market. Start with Why is a great book by Simon Sinek for figuring out why you do what you do. I believe that it's very important that we understand the why. When I was a small child, I could not stand authority. I couldn't stand it. I had such a pride issue, and part of the reason I couldn't stand authority is because I knew that I was smart enough to understand the rationale if you told me to do something. If I'm a 7, 8-year-old walking around, you told me do this or don't do that, I'm smart enough, wise enough to understand that if you say don't do this and you tell me why, all right, cool. But if you just say, because I said so, or because I'm your authority. I had one teacher, man, I got so mad at this teacher in 8th grade. She was doing that same thing, like, go, do this, don't do that. Why? Well, you know what she said to me? Man, this grinded my gears. I was so mad. I came home so mad. I was being prideful. I admit it. She said to me, I'm not your peer. Oh, man, I was red in the face. I looked like a freaking tomato about to be sliced up. I was so mad. I'm not your peer. Just tell me why. Like, I will respect your authority if you just explain the why to me. And so Start with Why is a great book because you will not respect a system even if you are the one to put it in place if you don't understand why you ought to do it in the first place. And if you don't understand the why behind financial sovereignty, you won't do it. Because you won't have the motivation that you need to carry it through because it's hard sometimes. It's hard to have the discipline to sit down and write a budget. It's hard to sit here and learn how to read these charts and to say, that's an inverse head and shoulders pattern. If that plays out, we can go to $80,000. It's hard to make investments instead of just spending it on Starbucks or whatever it is that you're trying to spend your money on. It's hard when you don't have the heart to it and you don't have the money to be generous. Sometimes it's hard to do that. The pure fact of generosity is that you're being generous when it costs you something, right? These things are difficult. So if you don't have the why behind it, you're not going to do it. You've got to understand the why, which is why I tell you guys all the time, God is not afraid of tough questions because there are no tough questions for him. If you have a question about God, he's not afraid of that question. And even if I don't have the answer, somebody does. I'm not afraid of your tough questions. If I don't have the answer for your tough question, I'm going to do my best to go and find the answer to the tough question. When I tell him to do something, my 3-year-old, when I tell him to do something, I expect him to obey me immediately. But I will also tell him, and would you like to know why? Because I remember as a kid, I wanted to know why. Would you like to know why you have to not go beyond this line? It's because this line is 4 feet away from the road, and I don't want you to be within 4 feet of the road because a car could jump the curb and hit you. Oh, okay, Daddy, I understand. I don't want to get hit by a car. Okay, I'll stay on this side of the line. You've got to understand why. Here's the point. To answer that question of what book is my favorite, that's one of my favorite books. If my son understands why I shouldn't go past this line, then he will be motivated to do that thing that I told him to do, or not do that thing that I told him to do. Because he understands that there's a good reason behind it. I'm not just using my authority to be authoritative and mean. I'm trying to keep him safe. He doesn't want to get hit by a car. Here's the application. In our lives, we can tell our spirit to go and do something. We can tell our spirit, we've got to quit this addiction to coffee. We've got to quit this addiction to caffeine. We've got to quit this addiction to video games. We've got to quit this addiction to alcohol, cocaine, whatever it is. We've got to quit this addiction, right? But you're just being that father that says, because I said so, unless you can also tell your own spirit, here's why. That's why When I am teaching financial sovereignty, I try and hit you where it hurts, where you feel it. What generational curse are you trying to break? That's a why. What are you trying to do for your children? That's a why. What have you been so tired of dealing with your entire life, and you say to yourself, I'm done with it. I'm done putting up with this kind of behavior in myself. I'm done with having these kind of knucklehead friends around me. They tempt me into doing horrible things. I'm done with this financial illiteracy. I'm going to learn something. I'm done with not knowing how to do my taxes, and man, I'm overpaying every year. I'm sick of it. Why? It's a much bigger question than you were looking for. A much bigger answer than you were looking for there. But it's a great question. And a great heart behind the question, because we're trying to find knowledge. We're trying to find wisdom. Why are we doing what we're doing? It is one of the most important questions that we will ever ask ourselves. If you cannot answer why you are doing a thing, then maybe it's best that you just stop. If I can't answer my son why, if he asks me why, if I tell him to do something, he says why, and I don't have a ready answer for him, then maybe I ought to just back off and let him do it. If I'm just saying, quit doing that, and I don't have a good reason, maybe I ought to just not tell him to not do it. The Bible says to us Christians, always have a ready defense for what you believe in. Here's a bold statement. If we're going to proclaim Christ's name, we need to understand why we follow him. I understand why I follow him. I understand why I follow his teachings. I understand why I follow financial sovereignty. Because it will lead to good fruit in my life. It will lead to all the fruits of the Spirit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against these things there is no law. It will lead to that. That is why I do the things that I do. Why do you do the things that you do? Examine every area in your life and get sovereign over it by answering that question. And if you cannot give a good answer for why you are doing what you're doing, then stop. Because it's probably not worth your time. If you don't have a good reason, then you're not being intentional. And successful people are intentional in everything they do. Sounds exhausting at first, but it's not. It's actually the route to peace. It is sovereignty over yourself. We call that self-control, and it is a fruit of the Spirit. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. It shall be health to thy marrow and navel unto thy bones. It says, yep. Proverbs 3, 4, 5, and 6, I think that is. Ampex Electricians 24/7 said, Adam and Eve, God versus Satan. Satan tricked humans and challenged God. Give humans free will, so now he influences us, but God always throws helplines. It's up to us which we choose. I think we always had free will. I just don't, that's how we ended up falling. I don't think Satan gave us free will. I think God gave us free will. But we used it in the wrong way immediately. As soon as it was possible to use it for sin, we did. That's why we need Christ. Anyway, back to it. Poor is he who works with a negligent and idle hand, but the hand of the diligent makes him rich. Proverbs 10:4. That's right. I wish for a day everyone can swap their house/fiat with someone that has one better, and that person gets one better, and that the best one gets a brand new, even better one. Lol. Same with cars. Everyone gets a better one for free. And phones. Okay? Not sure exactly what you mean, but... Jeb, does it say anything about heaven on earth before the end of times? Heaven on earth is when you are in fellowship with God. Heaven on earth walked on earth at one point in about 30 AD. His name was Jesus Christ, and he and his Holy Spirit will come to live in you if you follow him. You are experiencing a degree of heaven on earth when you listen to a Christian, when they're preaching the word of God. Heaven is more of a state of is more of a relationship status than it is a destination or a location. Yo, at Crypto Jeb, hope you and the family have been good. We have. Thank you. Always different things to go through in life, but in general, we've been growing a lot. And it's been hard sometimes, but health stuff mainly. But yeah, we've been good. God's been extremely good to us. We've been extremely, extremely blessed. Guys, I do also want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you in part by Vault. If you have not already signed up for Vault, I don't know what you're doing, please. You are missing out. Go to uphold.com with the link in the description box down below. Go to products and services, scroll down to Vault, and you will see the newest version of self-custody in the game. This is exactly where you need to go to protect yourself and your private keys. And the way this works is essentially there are 3 keys. Uphold keeps 1, you keep 2. Your vault has to have 2 keys to access it. You ever seen those movies where they're on a nuclear submarine and the admiral and the commander of that certain vessel have to turn the key to launch the nuke? It's kind of like that. Not exactly, but you can kind of picture it like that in your head. I just want to put that picture in your head. You got to have the 2 keys to turn it, right? They're too far apart for one human to turn them at once, right? It's kind of the way this is set up. Except to enter your vault, you've got to have 2 of the 3 keys. So you can either have the 1 and 2 key, which is how you will normally access it. But if you lose one of your keys, Uphold will give you the Uphold key, and you can open the vault with the 1 key and the Uphold key, or the 2 key and the Uphold key. And the reason this is important is because the likelihood of losing a key, unfortunately, is up there. It can happen. People have lost keys. There's one guy that's been trying to find, oh goodness, a lot of Bitcoin in a landfill in England for years, over a decade now. It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's still not been able to find it. Poor guy. Threw away the hard drive, thought he'd move the Bitcoin. It was only worth a little bit back in the day. You know, Bitcoin's worth a few dozen dollars when he threw it away, I think it was. Still trying to find it. Losing a key can happen. You don't want that to happen to you. It's one of the big fears of self-custody. But in this case, it is extremely unlikely that you'll lose both keys at once because you store them differently. And that's very important because it means that you can self-custody your cryptocurrency without that fear of losing it. So make sure to check it out. The link in the description box and down below. I am blessed. I certainly am. All right. 1 Thessalonians 5:17 says, "Pray without ceasing." Prayer becomes not only an attitude of the heart, but also a continual dialogue with the Lord. That's right. Absolutely. He's a friend. He is the friend. Brenx Motorsports said, "Still no caffeine?" Nope. I accidentally so when we were on our trip, my wife and I took a trip a couple weeks ago, and so we went to Starbucks, right? I'd been getting decaf. I accidentally forgot to say decaf. So I had caffeine one time since I quit caffeine. But yeah, been off of caffeine for a while now. Definitely makes me have to take my sleep more seriously because I don't get to just, use caffeine as a crutch. But that's a good thing. I need to take my sleep more seriously. And so, still off of caffeine. I will probably give myself, I'm not sure how long, probably until well after the baby's here. That's my plan, is till well after the baby's here. He'll be born in August. So that's coming up soon. But probably until well after the baby's born. Before I have caffeine again. I'll drink it every once in a while. I'm not against it. I don't think it's sinful to drink caffeine or anything. Same way I don't think it's sinful to drink alcohol. What I do think is that being addicted to something is not sovereignty. And I also think that it's not self-control. It is caffeine control. If I'm addicted to caffeine because I drink it every single day and I go through radical withdrawal symptoms, whenever I stop it, that's a problem. That is a form of addiction. And addiction is the exact opposite of sovereignty. It's almost like debt. You're a slave to something. I don't want to be a slave to debt, nor shall I be a slave to caffeine. So I'll drink caffeine every once in a while after I've given my body a thorough season of detox. But frankly, I don't even really want it back. Not really, to be quite honest with you. Crypto Boomer said, "Hello, Jeb, from your backyard, Jacksonville, Florida." Hello there. Shout out to you. Cleverton Cordiero said, "Seas pessoas negativas." I'm going to have to run this through a translator. I wish my wife was on set with me. She's in the other room. I wish she was on set with me. I could ask her what that means. Let's see. Because my wife is a native Spanish speaker. If these negative people are considering high and buying at 56,000, turning to 72 no minimum, I would throw away a great deal back to 72. That translation did not help very much. I wish my wife was here to help translate. I'm sorry. Shadrach Frost said, "Well said, Jeb. Let not the item control you, but maintain control of your body." That's right. And listen, I tell you what, it was so nice. It was so nice, that feeling of getting up in the morning, having a cup of coffee. You know what feels even better? Getting up in the morning knowing that I am not a slave to caffeine. I don't want to be a slave to a freaking bean. Are you kidding me? I like coffee. I enjoy it. I like alcohol every once in a while. And I had this blue martini thing. It was like this giant thing while we were at Texas Roadhouse. So good. Am I going to have one of those every day? No. Heck no. All right, we're going to read chat a little bit more here, and then we're going to continue to move on. Shadrach Frost said, "Folks, hit that like button. It only takes a second and truly supports this channel. Let's show Jeb some love and appreciation for all he brings to us every day. Thanks, friends." I've got another poll for you. 67% of you said that you are excited for our teachings to be standardized and written down for your study. That's awesome. I got another poll for you. Would you like some of my rants to be clipped and put into compilations / video clips on YouTube? All right, there's another poll for you guys. Nico Banto said, hey, Jeb, what are the key numbers we should be paying attention to with Bitcoin right now? Great question. So one of them is going to be the miner revenue. Let's pull that up real quick. Miner revenue over here at over on Y charts. This is kind of freaky. It's kind of freaky. Miner revenue has been just absolutely, well, what is the term? Dunked on in the last few weeks, ever since the halving. Miner revenue has dropped dramatically down to about $29 million a day. That is where we were in September of last year before this big run-up. The miners are getting kind of wrecked. Hopefully, they're going to be okay. So this is a number I would keep an eye on. Bitcoin miner revenue. It's over on ycharts.com. Ycharts got a ton of different charts, man. And really useful website. So you can see, going back at up to 5 years, the Bitcoin miner revenue. It hit a peak. They made over $100 million in a day. The day before the halving on the day after the halving on April 20th, because all the transaction fees went through the moon because everybody was trying to move stuff one last time because they thought things were going to crash or whatever. Didn't happen. Everything was fine. But would be watching that. Another one would absolutely be our the market dominance on Bitcoin versus the altcoins. This is going to be an important trend to follow. When Bitcoin's market dominance starts going down because the altcoins start rallying, that's going to be pretty significant because that will indicate the next leg of the bull market. So Bitcoin market dominance over on CoinMarketCap or wherever you can see it, that's a pretty big one. Another one is total market capitalization on Bitcoin. This is a chart that a lot of people don't look at, but they should. This represents the market capitalization of the entire cryptocurrency market. We were trading up towards $2.3 trillion. We've just dropped down to about $2.25 trillion. We've lost $500 billion in market capitalization in the last month or so. Actually, more like $700 billion. But regardless, because we dropped all the way down to $2 trillion, we want to see this stay above $2 trillion. $2 trillion, a pretty serious, important support level, so we're going to keep our eyes on that. Few others, but we'll continue talking about other numbers to keep an eye on. You're a good man, Jeb. Christ bless you and your family. He already has. Thank you so much to him. Don't turn into a shorts / compilations YouTube channel. Not needed. No, not a shorts or compilations YouTube channel. Just I think it would be fun to put it on YouTube like that. Coffee and condensed milk, next level good. There you go. Karsten Cook said decimated. Does anybody know what decimated means? That's a fun word. Decimated, the word to decimate, came from the Romans. Whenever an entire legion or an entire cohort, which was basically a squad in the legion, a Roman legion was made up of 10 cohorts, and those cohorts were made up of 80. Forget what they were called. No, it was made up of 100. Yes, 100 men, and there were 8 of them. So anyway, the Roman cohorts, again, there were 10 of them per legion. The legion was about 6,000 men. I used to be a giant Roman history nerd. Horrible civilization, by the way. Absolutely terrible civilization, but very interesting. Kind of paradoxical there. The word to decimate came from whenever the Romans' legions would do something wrong that was like really bad, like treasonous or something, then a commander or politician would order a decimation. And the decimation essentially meant that 1 out of every 10 legionaries were to be executed. And to decimate comes from the word deci, which is to mean 10. Like decimal means tenths. You know, I think that's also where the word decapitate comes from. I might be wrong on that. But no, it isn't actually. I'm sorry. But decimeter, for example, 10 meter or a tenth of a meter, right? Deciliter, the deci means a tenth. So deci means a tenth. So decimate, mate meant to kill, 8, you know. But they would decimate the legion. So they'd all draw straws and just at random, 1 out of every 10 of the men would be executed. So that's why when you say to decimate something, people think, oh, you mean crush it into the ground and destroy the whole thing. No, it actually means 1/10. So, oh man, we decimated their team. Oh, you took out one of them. There's 9 more. So, fun word. I'm a nerd. It was Portuguese, not Spanish. That's probably why I didn't translate properly. I always get that wrong. I walked up to a kid in a video game one time, and he was speaking Portuguese. So I walked up to him and said, "Oh, lo siento, no hablo español, tú hablas inglés?" And he looked at me, and he like turned his character towards me and looked at me and said, "Hey, idiot, I was speaking Portuguese." And I just felt like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I have no idea. So anyway, translation: if negative people had thought high and bought at $56,000, returning to at least $72,000, they would make a lot of money. Back to $72,000. Ah, cool. Yes. Yep. Coffee and chocolate milk all day. I like you back on your own. I enjoy it. It's always fun. Emmanuel Davila said, when is the Zoom meeting? Which Zoom meeting? You got me freaked out. Did I miss a Zoom meeting? Hope I didn't. I'm normally very on top of that. Am I missing something? If I'm missing something, tell me. I don't want to be missing something. All right. We are going to wrap it out here in just a minute, guys. Portuguese, beautiful language. That's right. Guys, I also want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you by Crypto.com. It is inevitable that you will sign up for Crypto.com. I hope. And the reason is because you'll be joining over 80 million users that are signing up for an exchange that is going to help you build wealth in cryptocurrency. And that is because of one fact. User interface and user experience is everything. When you're building a habit, you want the habit to be as streamlined and seamless as possible. And so when you sign up for Crypto.com, not only are you getting access to an application, an exchange that is trusted by tens of millions of people, and has been adopted the world over, but you're also getting access to an application that has incredible user experience, which is going to help you to form the habits that you need to form to succeed in cryptocurrency. A wise man once said that excellence is not an action, therefore it is a habit. We are what we consistently do, therefore excellence is not an action, but a habit. Our habits are what we become. And so when you have an excellent user interface and user experience, it helps you to become a successful cryptocurrency investor. Does that make you a weak crypto investor because you need good UI? No, it makes you human. So the user interface and user experience, UI UX at Crypto.com is second to none. So make sure to check them out. The link down below. Sign up for the app and start investing today. I'm addicted to Little Caesars. A fresh, hot, and ready is fire. Yeah, Little Caesars, if it's fresh, is definitely really good. We have a Little Caesars right down the road from where we live. We used to go there all the time. All right, guys, we are going to have to wrap it out pretty soon. It is FinSoft Friday, so go and build some FinSoft. And 67% of you guys said that you'd like some of my rants to be clipped and put into compilation/video clips on YouTube. Yeah, look forward to it. We've got some shorts going up right now. We're working on that strategy, so I think you guys are going to enjoy that, especially when we get callers on. I'm looking forward to those being clipped and put up as well. So looking forward to that next week. Working on FinSoft Academy in the background, guys. We got a lot going on, so stay tuned. Really appreciate all of you for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That is going to wrap it out for today's video. Always remember that all success in life begins with a personal and daily walk with the Lord Jesus Christ. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.